that was solely concentrating on that aspect of it. At this point in time, we're actively onboarding an additional 4 vendors, which is more or less at capacity of what we'd like to do. We don't want to get too big. We do a very hands-on approach. Certainly being an individual that is dealing with the vendors, I need to make sure that the relationship is good, that everyone's comfortable in all the different aspects of the onboarding process, and basically, we have a journey together until we get to the point where we're up and running and everyone's happy, and then we move on to the next. At this point, in terms of the actual messaging that we need to change, so we sort of touched on it a bit earlier. We have 3 standard messaging types that we utilise at the moment, with aspirations in the future of additional ones. But basically they are the PO, the purchase order, so the purchase order being generated at the service centre and being transmitted to yourselves. The purchase order acknowledgement. Now there's a slight little thing, when we upgraded our Oracle system, we decided that we didn't want to call it a POR anymore, or purchase order response. We wanted to call it a purchase order acknowledgement, because we like to be different. In essence, that's what we discussed earlier around the simple fact that as we transmit a purchase order to the vendor, they acknowledge that everything is correct on that order. Okay, the price, the unit of measure, the part number, those sorts of things. If they're incorrect, obviously we expect the information that will give us the visibility and ability to actually update the purchase order in anticipation of an invoice coming in with that information on it. And obviously the last one in that one is the invoice itself. Okay. What we have noticed is, what I noticed anyway when I first started, was the fact that because of EDI and its efficiency in terms of the actual turnaround time, we were actually getting invoices for goods we ordered that morning. Goods haven't left your loading dock yet, but we've still got the invoice. So it was like, yes, given our reputation for payment, we probably thought that the sooner we get that invoice in, the sooner it's going to run its course. So what we've introduced Pacific Commerce is a 48-hour delay, and that's delay is essentially giving us the opportunity and time frame to receive the goods and have the staff at the loading dock actually go into Oracle and receive the goods against the invoice. So, some of the recent activities that have occurred, as we mentioned earlier, we had an Oracle upgrade to release 12. We were previously on version 11i. That occurred and we went live in April of last year. Since then, in the last couple of weeks, we've actually again migrated our infrastructure to a cloud-based data center. That in itself was a great benefit. Certainly a lot more speed, reliability, and so the infrastructure now is very, very stable. With release 12, it's basically opened up a lot of opportunities for us from a technology point of view. Being an IT person, and I sort of see the benefit in automating where we can, and basically allowing the system to do the heavy lifting for us. Okay, so not necessarily relying on the human factor to do all the corrections and all the sort of processes that are associated with having something like R12 in its complexity and its ability to deliver those functions for you. The other thing that we also rolled out as part of R12 is a product called procurement. Now that sits down at the LHD level, so people that are actually raising the requisitions and doing the ordering, they now have this process, or this program, should I say, called procurement. In a nutshell, it's more of an eBay experience. You have the ability to search for a particular type of product, you'll have a catalogue that's returned, you'll be able to tick and select which particular product you want, drag it into your cart, type in the quantity, and so on and so forth. So that in itself, compared to what they used to have to go through with 11i, is mind-blowing for them, because it's certainly a lot more visual and a lot user-friendly. So given the analogy that I have heard along the way, that obviously those nurse unit managers that do the requisition in the hospitals are not procurement officers, and certainly I'm not a nurse. So we sort of try and meet each other halfway in terms of just making it easy and straightforward for them to have access to the products they wish to order, having them presented in a nice fashion. The other thing that's happening, and certainly one of my primary focuses, is the actual data alignment. Okay, so we talk about having clean data from a product perspective, so yourselves as the vendors publishing to the MPC, and that's fantastic, but that's certainly starting the process. Clean data in, but we also need to make sure that our values around GLNs, or local location numbers, and the ship to locations are clearly defined as well. So there's a lot of work there in that area. The reason being is, back in the day, before my time, we used to have paper-based payslips, and in order for those to be delivered to the wards and so forth within the facilities, they needed to have locations, locations, very animated, have locations defined as a direct ship to. meaning that in order for us to identify that this batch of pay slips are going to the oncology department of Liverpool Hospital, we needed to have that sort of set up in Oracle. And we've sort of moved away from that now, because at the end of the day, our sort of strategy is that from a vendor's perspective, bar a few, your delivery point is